Right now to talk about markets is ERShares CEO Joel Shulman. Also joining the conversation all morning long this morning is Fox Business's Dagan McDowell and Fox News contributor Liz Peek. Great to see everybody this Monday morning. Thank you so much for being here. Joel, kicking things off with you with a market that is troubled clearly and questioning whether or not the Federal Reserve is going to be able to give us this soft landing that they said that they could, and that is taking interest rates all the way up while not taking the economy into recession. How do you feel about it?
It's going to be tough to have that soft landing. We're looking at 3.2%, as you mentioned, the 10-year bond, Maria. It's going higher. I mean, we have to remember that 30-year mortgage rates went up 2% year to date, and we've only seen about 1 to 1.2 on the 30-year Treasury. So I think we're going to be seeing Treasury, especially in the 30-year, going up to 4% sooner rather than later. You mentioned the markets are off this morning. It's really interesting. Last week we had unemployment numbers, and job growth. We're at 3.6%. What's interesting is we have wages which are rising, and we have also layoffs which are rising, and the two seem to be counterintuitive. You usually see layoffs corresponding with wage decreases and so forth. There's a lead lag variable. Inflation on wages is sticky, and we're going to see more and more promise, particularly as home affordability increases and as companies are getting squeezed, particularly financial services and restaurant industries, getting squeezed with higher prices and higher wage costs, lower margins.
And of course, we're going to get the latest measure on inflation this week. That is the #1 issue on the agenda for investors this week. We'll get the April Consumer Price Index out on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, the PPI. Here are the expectations. Consumer Price Index expected to be up 8.5% year over year. It was up 8.5% in March. We're expecting it to pull back to 8.1% for the estimates for the month of April. But look at the Producer Price Index, up 11.25% in March. Producer price is expected to stay elevated for April, and we get that number out on Thursday. How closely are investors focused on this report on Wednesday and this other on Thursday?
They're very focused on it. I mean, we're plus 8% year over year in both numbers, a little bit higher for PPI. We'll see that on Thursday. If we see good news, if we see inflation peaking and so forth, we should expect to see some modest rally. But then we're going to have to monitor the later on wages. People have to focus on wages, and again, the housing prices and the home affordability is going to be the big issue going forward. Particularly in Q2, home affordability is among the lowest we've ever seen, and this is going to be a continuing problem. And particularly those at the early the entry points, they're exposed. If they lose jobs, they have very little slack to fall back on. So we could see things unravel pretty quickly because of home affordability and those most exposed to losing their jobs.
Well, that's a great point. Joe, real quick before you go, energy has been like the only place to be here. Energy up like 20% year to date. What are ETF investors doing right now? What do you see in terms of movement within the ETF universe at ERShares?
Right. Well, we're seeing a lot of money moving actually out of ETFs, out of domestic ETFs in particular. There's very few places to hide. I mean, we're seeing periodically some companies coming out with blowout earnings. They're going up, and investors are selling the next day, so they're not able to hold on to their gains. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joel.